Good morning, Patrick here, live from Complete Health Eastbourne. I've just finished my morning exercise routine and just wanted to quickly jump on and talk about something that people will ask quite a lot, which is really how long does an adjustment take to take place? Now, generally as a rule of thumb, with most chiropractors, an adjustment will normally last somewhere on average between 5 minutes and 30 minutes. Like, it depends on the practitioner and some of the tools and resources that they're using, but as a general rule of thumb, most chiropractors will spend somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes with their patient to work on the spine and improve the function of those nerves. Now, what we know about nerves is nerves fire at exponential speeds. So I think it's roughly 30 meters a second, which basically equates to the same speed that the Bugatti Veyron can actually go at its absolute maximum pace, which basically means it takes less than a second from a signal from your brain to get down to the tip of your toe. So say, for example, obviously you put your foot onto a pin or a hot object, your brain would pretty much immediately receive a signal from that, and as a result would pull the foot off. Now, what we know about the adjustments, and I use a technique called kinesiology, which is a way of testing muscles to test to see whether there's been any interference with the way that joints and nerves are actually starting to fire, because what we know is when a joint doesn't move properly, it can start to affect the proprioceptive input to the brain, which basically means that the brain becomes a little bit unaware about what's going on at that joint if it's not functioning properly. So what we do is make sure that the joints are moving the way that they're supposed to, and as a result what we'll start to see is the brain will start to change and adapt, and it should be immediate. So when you do an adjustment, that muscle should change pretty much immediately. Now, a lot of people will then ask me, okay, so if the adjustment takes place and as soon as you've done the adjustment the change in my body has happened, why am I still in pain? Well, the question isn't how quick does the adjustment take place. The adjustment takes place in seconds. The brain will fire and the nerves will change almost immediately. However, if someone's got an injury or they've come in with back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, whatever the problem might be, the nerve firing might only be one element of the issue. So if someone's had a nerve that's not firing for a long time, say for example in the shoulder, and a muscle has gone weak and you've started to tear those muscle tendons or some of the ligaments, etc., around the shoulder, or the joints have started to degenerate, it's not necessarily the nerve firing that's the issue. It's the fact that the tissues are now torn. Now, the question isn't whether the adjustment is going to fix the tissue. Your body will eventually fix the tissue, but if the dysfunction is still there, the tissue is going to continue to get injured. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. So if a muscle is weak, the likelihood is the joint is not being protected properly, the joint will go under stress, and as a result will start to become injured. A chiropractor will start to look at how the nerves into that shoulder will start to affect it, and as a result clearing those nerve interferences will actually start to allow the muscle around the shoulder to go stronger, which means that the muscles start to stabilize that shoulder, which means that that joint can start to move and function properly so that tissue can heal properly. Good morning, nice to see you. So it really is more about how long will things take to heal after the nerve interferences have been cleared. Now, this is really going to depend because loads of people will have different variations. Now, one of the other things that we have to consider is if that nerve has been interfered with, or that pathway or those patterns have been wrong for a long period of time, what happens is the brain learns. Now, not only does the brain learn good patterns, it also learns bad patterns. E.g., if you sit at a desk for long periods of times, you will change your posture and your tissues will tighten and change in order to adapt to that so that you can do that more efficiently. Now, that is not in your body's favor. So say, for example, with a chiropractor, they may be adjusting you and you may start to feel better, but until those pathways are solidified and we can actually get those things to be consistent and stay for a period of time, you may find that your symptoms will yo-yo and go up and down. Amazing. It's good to hear that he's back in receiving some care. I'm hoping he's with Rob because he's an absolute rock star. So what we want to obviously make sure is that obviously when we start to look at the function of the nerve system, that we're making sure that we're keeping everything functioning properly and we're retraining those patterns so that actually you're going to be stable for much, much longer. So yes, the adjustment takes place almost immediately. Yes, the nerve can start to change. Yes, the muscle strength can start to stay. yes, the joints can start to change, but what we have to understand is that despite the fact that those things are all changing, you cannot force the body to heal faster than it actually can. The blood is still going to have to flow into that area and still heal those muscles and those tissues. That joint is going to have to break down that scar tissue and remobilize. That joint is going to have to get the strength back that you may have lost as a result of the injury. And then just changing the nerve impulse is not going to do that necessarily immediately, because you still have to use those pathways to strengthen that back up again and make sure that everything is then stable afterwards. So a lot of the time it will be a case of, okay, let's calm stuff down first and then strengthen things back up again afterwards. Guys, hopefully this makes a little bit more sense. A lot of people don't necessarily understand the neurological elements of chiropractic, and so I just wanted to touch base and give you a little bit more information on that. If you guys have got any more questions, please leave a comment below. I do obviously find neurology really, really interesting, so if you want to learn a little bit more, please get in touch. See you again soon.